Hey, it's James from survivalpunk.com. Back with another episode with that high beam. Today we're talking about prepping for government bans, buying things that buying and preparing for things that the government doesn't want you to do. I got a couple on this list, and the idea really kind of hit me. There are things that they want to make illegal, things that are illegal or tricky or hard to get that are stupid. And we're rebels. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get into that, though, let's take a listen to our morning theme music.
Meteor crashing, streets ablaze, chaos in every gaze, skies falling, no more blaze, we survive in twisted maze. Floods are rising, drown past, and governments won't last. Economic fall hits so fast, in this storm our spirits cast. Apocalypse calling, but we're fine, through disaster, skin spine.
And we're back. I kind of realized whilst plotting out this show that, one, I won't be able to even cover everything that I have in my outline, and two, this could probably be an infinite amount of numbers. The government bans a lot of things that we as preppers and liberty-minded individuals like and want. So, what can we do? A lot, actually. If you know a ban is coming up, if it has good signs, it's probably a good time to prep that item. And I hate to, in any way whatsoever, admit defeat to the government to find alternatives. And I'll talk about one of those things in a little bit. But let's start off with Berkey water filters. There are some states, fuck you, California. There are some states that are making it hard or impossible to get Berkey water filters. There seems to be a lot of politics involved in this, and a lot of bullshit. I've looked into it a little bit, and it really seems like it's I can't remember the exact reason why. It has something to do with the filter. It has something to do with it, right? But California is just being straight retarded, and they are going after the Berkey water filters, but not. There's a competitor that I've heard. It's either the exact same filter, like from the manufacturer, like one goes in a Berkey box and one goes in a Joe Schmo box, and the other ones, the competitor is still fine. They're not being sued. They're not being gone after. Man, I really need to. The competitor is fine. This completely no problem getting those ones. You can still. Berkey is not shut down, obviously. You can still absolutely buy those. You just, depending on where you live, it may be hard to get. However, as we've talked about many times in this show, there is always a way. So, if you live in one of these states affected by the Berkey ban, one, you might really want to consider moving. Two, that filter is still being made, and you can still get that filter since when I really heard about this news story, unless it's changed since then, you can just buy the competitor. I'm not brand loyal to Berkey. I don't. Yes, they make a great product, but I'm not a Berkey fanboy, right? I'm not being paid to suggest Berkey. Their filter is just fantastic. So, like, I'm the first person to say, if you want a Berkey water filter and you don't want to spend a big Berkey is like $300+ for a big metal trash can that filters water. No, fuck that. Or you can get the really ugly plastic one, which is still $200. You can make a a bucket Berkey with like two 5-gallon plastic buckets and some other stuff for shit cheap money. And it's not gonna make the prettiest counter princess, but it does the job. So if there was a knockoff that you could get for really cheap, go for it. As long as it uses the actual filters, that's all we care about. Those particular ceramic filters are fantastic. So that's what we're really after. You can absolutely find those as a competitor. And if and I didn't have a lot of chance to research this to see if that competitor also now can't sell them, because California is stupid. However, maybe that competitor greased some palms, whereas Berkey didn't, and you can get those. Otherwise, everything you could possibly anything you could ever want is available for sale if you look hard enough and long enough and in the right places. I'd be so willing, not even going full on black market, right? One, those filters are probably being exactly copied and manufactured in China, and China doesn't give a shit. They will steal every copyright known to man, and they will ship it anywhere. They don't give a fuck. There's no way that you can't find those filters somewhere on the internet, and someone on YouTube probably bought them and tested the water output to ensure that it either A, is actually doing what it's supposed to do, or not. So there's that. But if you're on like a prepper group on Facebook or something, just put out a post like, hey, I live in California. Yes, I know. I'm a dumb fuck. I shouldn't live in California, but I do. I want to buy new Berkey water filters because mine need to be replaced, and I live in California. I can't go buy them. Would anyone be willing to send them to me, like for a slight fee, right? So for the most part, you'll find some honest people that'd be like, yeah, send me the money and I'll order them here and then I'll mail them to you. That's not. My wife gets freaked out sometimes about the legality of things. I tend to dabble in the not white markets, as you probably know. In that case, for some reason, if the post office from California were to open and inspect the package and it was a Berkey water filter and they're like, those motherfuckers, they would just throw it away. They would just throw it the fuck away. They're not going to come to your house and prosecute you like, oh, you got a fine. You shouldn't have sent this to this guy. You're like, I didn't sell it. He's my buddy. I just was sending him a gift. I didn't know it was illegal. In most of the cases when you do things like that, it doesn't, like, you're not facing jail time, and you're not probably on the first offense even facing a fine. You are probably facing, the number one thing that happens is they would throw it in the trash. And what I'm talking about is large scale, not like a one-off thing, right? Like large scale, like you've decided your business is to buy wholesale a bunch of Berkey filters and send them to people in California. First, they would just throw it away. The next likely thing that happens is they would probably send you a very official letter telling you to cease and desist. Then, because everything with the government is a money grab, then they would probably hit you with a fine. And at that point, you could determine whether your business can eat that as a business operating expense. So you get fined $1,000 a year and you're making $80,000 in sales a year. You don't give a fuck. That's just an operating expense. The same thing works with a lot of things in this world. I'll let you go out there and figure it out. There's always a loophole. So, I if you live in a free state, they are probably not even considering banning Berkeys. Like Tennessee is never going to ban a fucking Berkey water filter. If it went down to like county by county, Nashville might consider it, but I'm pretty safe. I can always order a Berkey water filter, and that's no problem. And we're not even going to harp on moving, right? You know you should move. If you want to stay, that's on you. I'm going to give you solutions. Next, this is another one of those location-based things, right? Rainwater catchment. There are areas, states, cities, areas that do not allow you to catch your rainwater on your property. This is a load of fucking horseshit. I find this more offensive than, say, the Berkey water filter ban, right? Telling me I can't catch water that falls from the fucking sky and lands on my property? No. No. That's some bullshit. I guess if you really wanted, this might be one of those things that you would want to get political about on the local level, because this generally isn't like a large scale issue. I don't know if it's the entire state of Colorado. It might be the entire state of Colorado. Denver for sure. Maybe it would be worth it in that case to take local political action to try to get this reversed, because it's stupid and it is infringing on your rights. Absolutely. Not to mention the totality of the benefits of you catching your own water to reduce the need on the water supply. Like, if you're not using the water that you're hooked to water your flowers because you catch rainwater and you water it from that, you're putting less of a burden on the system. The whole thing just is stupid and bullshit and pisses me off. With that, let's say that political action doesn't work, or that's not you. I get it. I have certainly never considered doing anything political like that. Not my thing. I just want to do what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. So, with that, you're just going to do it. I would suggest that you try to camouflage your rainwater catchment system, right? The way that you will be caught and fined is either a fucking looky-loo neighbor that's up in your business reporting you because they fucking have nothing better to do, or the codes people are driving around and they're looking, or, and this is real, I've absolutely heard this happens, they're on fucking Google Maps and they're looking at houses and they're like, that's rainwater catchment every day. You're going to need to do this yourself, at least contained within your family unit, right? If you live in one of these places, you're probably not going to be able to go out there in the backyard and put in like 10,000 gallon cisterns or something, right? You're absolutely going to get caught. You can build and repurpose things that were like for rainwater collect. We're definitely talking more low key on like the barrel or even the janky ass trash can situation, right? You're either going to make it look like something else, or you're going to disguise it so that people just can't see it, or they don't know what they're looking at, right? If you can hide the pipe going into it, and you just have a trash can against your wall, people are just going to think it's a trash can, right? If you have like a line of trash cans against your wall, and one of them secretly is your rainwater collection, man, no one's going to know. You just have to find a way to disguise the pipe going in, or you're gonna move it somewhere else, right? You could go super subterranean on this, right? So, but you're gonna have to do all the digging yourself. If you have your house is gonna have fucking gutters, right? And it's gonna go down the gutter. It's gonna go into the ground and just be wasted. If you have it come off and go into the ground, but in the ground really is like one of those blue barrels, and you have pumps coming out of it, that would be one way. You couldn't see that on Google Maps. It would just look like you have gutters and it goes into the ground. So the more you can do to make it look like absolutely nothing is going on. And this would be one of those things where if you have neighbors that look, you might want to do the work at night, early morning. Just do everything you can so that no one can see you do it and it's hidden. And I know that sucks, right? Fuck the government in this case. Fuck the government in a lot of cases. I mean, I'll be the first one, like, if they actually do something good, I'm like, okay, it was a good idea. But I'm also going to call them out. You know what? I got two more things. Well, I got a lot more things, but I got two more things. I'm going to go on to the one that personally affects me and that I know about. And then we'll save another beat down for California. I take daily kratom. Yeah, after the holidays when I'm done killing myself at work, I'm going to take a little break and move down. But I take kratom. It is a fantastic supplement, drug, over-the-counter thing. It helps out with pain and mental focus and a lot of things, right? It's a lot better than taking opioids. I'm going to tell you that. Not that I'm the kind of guy that typically, if I go to the doctor and they're like, "Oh, do you want some pain meds?" I've always been like, "Nah, I'll just take some aspirin and be fine," right? Like there was one time where I had a massive necrotic spider bite on my ass. And I was like, nah, I don't need pain meds. And the doctor's like, okay, but if you decide you do, if you actually decide that you do, you can come back like within 24 hours or so and I'll give you some. And I was like, whatever, bro. I'm a man. I don't need pain meds. So I leave there, and in the next 24 hours, I took a bottle of Excedrin Extra Strength. My poor gut and liver died that day. So anyway, I went back and I got the pain meds until I was fine. I'm not an opioid person. I use them only exactly when I need to. They're harder to get now. Like, the doctors won't prescribe them for anything, which I'm fine with, right? Kratom is similar in its structure to an opioid, where it fits those receptors. It's not an opioid, but it is pseudo opioid like properties with some other stuff, right? And I think I heard recently it is gram for gram equals strength to Valium, at least up to 10 grams. So I believe it's gram and not milligrams. Milligrams? Probably milligrams. Good Lord, don't take 10 grams of kratom. You will die. Maybe not, but maybe. There have been a couple cases, which is why they're thinking about banning it, of people dying taking kratom. You can die taking anything. It just is. However, it was like it was like conflicts and some other stuff, right? You got to be careful with everything you do in life. However, there are several states, Tennessee included, that are eyeballing banning either kratom entirely or a very potent form of kratom that's... Oh, my PMS light came on. Ugh. That's not fantastic, y'all. I don't have my air pump with me. It's in my wife's car. Or what is it? There's hydro. There's a stronger form of hydroxymitigranea or something. It's hard to pronounce. It's a long word. Um, it's a they extract a portion of the kratom to concentrate it, and it generally comes in these little chewable tabs, right? Those things fucking hit. If you have some pain, it will absolutely take it off. So there are many states that are considering banning it. I'm kind of keeping an eye on it for Tennessee because we do use it. If Tennessee banned it, clearly I have no intention of stopping. If I hear the ban's coming, I may hit up my local places that I go, the vape shop where I buy my kratom from. And if they have to dump their supply, buy it all. I mean, buy it all to a degree. I'm not spending thousands of dollars on fucking kratom. However, buy a lot of it. Online, obviously, you could buy it and get some good prices for it. There are absolutely gray market, black market ways to get kratom. One time, some guy offered to send me a kilo of kratom straight from like Vietnam or something, or Cambodia. It was a good bit of money, and clearly, I don't want a fucking kilo. I'm not trying to be George Jung and move a kilo of kratom. However, it exists. And if it does get a ban, it'll absolutely be able to be got via the black and or gray market. With that said, I do think that finding alternatives to fit its place are good. Remember when the wild lettuce extract thing was everywhere on the survival groups, where people are like, grow nature's morphine and shit like that. I'm currently testing some wild lettuce extract. It does not hit the opioid receptors, so it's obviously not like that. From everything I've read, it is not as strong as kratom. However, possibly useful and less harmful and different than taking a bunch of Tylenol and stuff. We know that maybe Tylenol and aspirin aren't the best things to take, especially in high doses. But if you need it, then you need it. I feel like finding alternatives is good, and getting to the underlying cause, right? So I believe the aches and pains that I'm suffering from are caused by the GLP-1 drug that I'm on, causing chronic inflammation that makes my joints hurt. With that, I'm going to test the... I know what you're saying, just stop it. It has a lot of other benefits. Yes, I have to deal with kind of the afternoon aches and pains, but I'm testing out the wild lettuce extract. I'll let you guys know what I think of that. I think it's going to be okay and maybe something to stock in your arsenal, but not a pain replacement, right? Minor aches and pains, I would start with that. I'm still testing it, so I'm not just saying. But I would start with the lowest, least harmful thing first before I try to nuke the problem. I am looking at getting some of the strongest concentrated form of turmeric extract with peppercorn extract or something to deal with inflammation, and see if that helps too, so I can deal with the chronic pain without killing my liver or taking kratom like a junkie, which I'm not taking it like a junkie, but it would make it last longer. So, and they're not going to ban those things probably. So those are some of my thoughts on getting some alternatives. For the shit hit the fan, you would need some fairly decent pain-killing meds on hand for those times that you need it, right? And you can't call a doctor because the shit's hit the fan and there's no doctors to call anymore. I find it to be safer to stockpile kratom versus try to find ways to stockpile opioids. There's too many downsides. However, I'm also like this, right? Though, so if I go to the doctor and I do get any kind of pain killing medicine, I only take it for the exact amount of time that I need to, right? Because it's as needed, right? Like if I need it, I'll take it, and I always end up with extras, and they just go into my survival supply, right? Like you have them, and then some crazy fucking shit happens, and you need some. There it is, right? And I generally have, like a prescription. I'll have a pill last 5 years later. I'm like, oh yeah, I just fell a tree and broke my fucking ankle. Let me take this, whatever it was. So those are my thoughts. If you have any ideas, any thoughts and suggestions on that, drop a comment in the show notes. Drop a comment wherever you're listening at. And with that, this is James from strawpunk.com. DIY to survive, you guys.
Economic fall hits so fast in this storm, my spirits cast. Apocalypse calling, but we're fine. Through disaster